in the fire community that are on volunteer fire committees and boards. And they said that the bigger picture was, had there been a fire, there could have been some tragedy, because there was no water. So that's a huge thing, and we are going to have an investigation. And quite honestly, I think there's a section, it's a misdemeanor under whatever code, that you do not tamper with any public utilities, correct, County Attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you want me to pull that up, or
Oh, ma'am,
cite it?
it's criminal tampering in the second degree.
Okay, so an investigation will be done by the Sheriff's Office. Yes, Mr. Craig?
Sir, were you aware of this at all? IDA aware of this?
We were made aware by the county manager on Thursday morning. The incident supposedly occurred Wednesday night. We spoke with Mr. Martin about it, and it became clear that he had shut off the valve in an attempt to winterize the properties. But the water main valve that he shut off is on Hillside campus on property owned by the IDA. So while the utilities, the lines may be owned by the county does not have an easement for the property where those lines are occupied. So it's, our opinion that he wasn't doing anything wrong intentionally, and that, this was an unfortunate mistake for the affected people in that water district.
So
It shouldn't have happened. The county water should not be on private property.
He doesn't even own the land, he's leasing it now.
Yeah, but
He's
the
leasing it
IDA
now.
owns the land.
He's
It's
leasing
private
it now, and Mr. Martin is a very smart businessman. Okay, he knew, where do you get the wrench to turn on and off the valve?
there were down your dozen.
Well, I think an investigation needs to be done. Again, there was a disruption of water service for 4 to 5 hours. My people weren't happy. And when I had people in the fire companies calling me up, saying, what the hell, if there was a fire, to me, that needs to be investigated. Yes.
Now these pipes, sewer pipes and the water pipes, throughout the depot, when they did all these transfers, there were supposed to be easements on there, and right away, everything else, so we could get access to our pipes. And if they didn't do that right, shame on the IDA for not doing these deed transfers the right way. That is, what you're saying is that they don't have an easement on your property. That's really.
So about a little history lesson for me. So the IDA was an IDA project for the water lines and sewer.
The Army owned it. There's sneaky things to liability issues. So when they transferred some property, so the county wouldn't be involved, the IDA wouldn't be involved. They transferred to like an LLC, and the same way with all the easements, before they could get the water and sewer running, they had to transfer all those pipes to Seneca County, well, the county water district and sewer district. You're supposed to have easements, for a right of way, so you can fix that and work on the pipes and get in and get out of there and not be shut down. And that should be, all that language should be in all those transfers.
And when did this happen? 80s, 90s?
2001,
2001 through 2004.
2002, like that.
And Mr. Evans, we don't have any, the county have any records of these deed transfers?
Yes.
That's all.
I'll make sure there will be again.
So what are we talking about here? Are we talking about like a right of way over top of the pipeline? Or are we talking about acreage? Because if Earl just got possession of it, and he's out there wanting to winterize, and he finds a valve, he doesn't know the valve on, he thinks it's on his property that he's getting. Is the valve marked? Is there any kind of marking on it? So this is a water line that feeds Fayette and Barrett. I mean, look at the mess we went through with the damn electric down there. There's a lot of things the Army did on that base that we don't know anything about, that our attorneys don't know anything about, that the easements don't know about.
Right now, we own all the pipes right up to the building that Hillside. We own all the pipes down around here, right to the building, which was wrong. The IDA, we never should have okayed that, but they did. So, you need an easement of like 10 or 20 feet easement so you can work out the pipes. And you gotta cross somebody's property.
Yeah, we don't intermunicipal agreements most of the time, the townships and everything else, so of course we list the easements and deed transfers. Right, of course there's mess,
Hold on, guys. One conversation at a time.
Are we going to have an investigation because he used poor judgment? I can't believe it was something done in
we fired down there, ran a water line up to Dennis Money's building, that was his building, so he knew he had to play by certain rules and regulations. Now, all of a sudden, he comes up with barracks and they have to follow the rules. Now, little things that have gone off their head. Have you doing this?
Or we could be very paranoid, or the other, right?
Or we could do what we need to do and be responsible, and we have an investigation, because who are we to sit here and determine he did it on purpose or he didn't do it on purpose? The bottom line, though, is it took place.
Okay, who's going to, who do you propose to investigate?
Under the county attorney?
We've had an initial investigation through the county manager's office, and I spoke with the district attorney today, and we'll also have an investigation done from the sheriff's department.
I don't know, I'm not in favor of investigating, have a conversation with yourself and Mitch and Sarah and Earl and take notes and find out his side of the story.
That's what the investigators will do, Supervisor.
But
Okay?
we're jumping at straws here. I mean, somebody made a mistake until,
We don't know
We
that.
don't go to jail.
Well, you know what? We were jumping at straws when we had to back the investigation on the county manager and finance director too, but how did that investigation turn out, guys? Oh, yeah. So we can't really, that's out of our hands. It was illegal. He tampered with a utility, a public utility that belonged to the county, and we shouldn't sit here and be the ones to say he didn't know any better or he did know better. Let the other people, let the investigation take place.
Bob,
And I don't think we need a vote on that, correct, county attorney? Okay, so I don't think that, unless there's any further discussion.
I'd like to, is there a meter there in place? Because I know at our farm, once you pass the meter, the water line's all ours. And I think there's a valve in that. We have our own key, just like anybody else. Anybody can go to Hudson's, buy keys, turn valves on and off. That's not anything illegal about that. I think somebody made a mistake. I think the property line is in dispute where this is. I think we're really,
Okay, well, later on tonight, Tom Murray will be here to give a report on the COVID committee. Now, is it a mistake that Seneca Ironworks employees don't wear masks, and they've been visited twice, and are not compliant?
I don't
Is that a
know.
mistake?
I don't know, Cindy, I don't know what's connected, but it's
It
okay.
is connected because there are people that think that they're above the law.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Go to investigate, see what happens.
that's correct. Yes, sir.
That's the water meter, well, the county has a master meter like at the town line of Barrett around here. The water goes up through there, and every building has a meter. So that's the only way we can meter the water on individual buildings.
so is this,
So when it gets to Barrett, Romulus, Barrett Fayette Water District, there's a master meter right there. And that master meter was less than 100 feet from where that valve was. That was the valve that they added onto a system to turn water lines with a hammer.
so is
So they
it,
used about 25,000 gallons of water to flush the system out to get the air out of the system.
so the building that Earl allegedly shut water off to and off there, was the meter, I mean, was it like the meters here, the valves here, and then the building?
The meters are all
The northern
adjacent to directly adjacent to the
northern
inside.
end of the water line of the whole hillside complex, and that was like 100 feet from the fence line. And that's where we put the master meter right there, so. I mean, the furthest north valve was north of the last fire hydrant, and the valve to turn off the water in that building was 300 feet to the south. The water employees knew where these valves were. You should have called them first and said, I want to turn water off in this building. How do I do it?
That's a mistake.
Instead of him becoming an expert on it, which he wasn't.
Okay, well, I think that this discussion will be ended. The investigation is going to take place, as it should. As it should. I don't think was there anything else. So yes, and you know, I would love for the IDA and this board to work a little more cooperatively together. But I will let this board be aware of another issue. So there's an opening on the IDA. Bob assigned myself, Supervisor Groundwater, and Supervisor Hayes to be part of that interview process. So we got an email from Sarah Davis, Executive Director, that they were going to be doing virtual virtual interviews. So I'm like, I don't understand a virtual interview when we're all open to public meetings. I reached out to Sarah and said, we have a Board of Supervisors room that's fully equipped. We can live stream, people can call in, and we can do in-person interviews. And she had wrote, I think Chairman Heisen tagged in on that email, and also Supervisor Hayes. Agreed. She emailed back that they were going to keep to their procedure and they were not going to change it. So I reached out to her, I will let you know, and said, Sarah, you know, is there a way that we can talk this over, work this out? And why don't you want to do the in-person? How many people are going to be on your interview team? She said 4, and a few of them didn't feel comfortable. I go, well, what's a few? 1, 2, 3, 4? I never got an answer. The other fact was, I said, well, we feel comfortable doing in-person interviews. I think a spot on the IDA, I know if I had to interview somebody, I would not want to do it virtually. I will admit, I'm not a fan of virtual meetings. I feel it's confusing. People talk over each other and it takes much longer time. I just don't think it's as efficient. Was it needed during certain times of COVID? Yes. So thank goodness we had that option. But now we're able to be in public. We can be 50 people in a meeting room. We're doing it here tonight. We've done it for how many weeks at the county? My town, everybody's town, I think, has. And I reached out again today to see what the answer was, and they are not going to allow an in-person interview. So,
The other problem with
I'm in hard
Zoom meetings, the other problem with Zoom meetings is your personality never comes out in a Zoom meeting. You gotta live it live, that's what.
Such as yours too, Supervisor, right? Correct? Right? Yeah, I agree. You agree, I agree.
I agree, 100%.
So,
Should be a
anyway.
live interview, absolutely.
Thank you. And maybe this board can convey that to Ms. Davis and her group, because I did remind her that this board is the one that has the ultimate vote on who's going to be the next IDA person. I think I'm done.
May I comment?
Is that up to me? Dave? No, you can give us an email. Thanks. Meeting adjourned. I could be on the virtual.
No, and I did complete her
everybody to Ovid and start with a call of order and have the roll call by the clerk.
Supervisor Reynolds?
Here.
Supervisor Lorenzetti? Here. Supervisor Brownell?
Here.
Supervisor Barnhart?
Here.
Supervisor Force?
Here.
Supervisor Hayes?
Here.
Supervisor Ferrara?
Here.
Supervisor Kronewetter?
Here.
Supervisor Lott?
Here.
Supervisor McGreevy?
Here.
Supervisor Heisen?
Here.
Supervisor Trout?
Here.
Supervisor Clear?
Here.
Supervisor Adamo?
Here.
You have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. All please rise for the pledge of allegiance. Okay, please be seated. Next on the agenda is a welcome by Phyllis Patel, president of the Friends of the Three Bears. Phyllis? Thank you for coming and we always enjoy being here.
I'm releasing my mask a little bit because I want to make sure that all of you hear me. Sometimes when we're trying to speak through these masks, you don't hear the very important parts. And I would like to welcome all of you to the Three Bears. We have been working on these buildings for 20 years, and as I look around, I knew every face of the supervisors back 20 years ago. Today, I do not. And so I am Phyllis Motil. My husband started the Friends of the Three Bears, which was 20 years ago. These buildings were going to be torn down, and we said that they're too important. They really are. Because when you think about it, whether you are from Waterloo or Seneca Falls, your judicial system actually started here in Ovid, because this was the seat of the county, and from there it went where the population is now. But I'm welcoming you to the Three Bears. We've done some reconstruction here, there, and everywhere. And take your time, look around. We've painted, we've done all kinds of things. But we feel that the beautification of this building is very impressive. Also, we're meeting two of our goals. 20 years ago, we intended that the Papa Bear would be the education point here in Ovid. It is going to be the Ovid Cultural Center. And the tourism office is now in Montpelier. And that was a goal from 20 years ago. And so as of today, we have met our two goals. But anyway, thank you. We have included some information in your package so that you get to know Ovid and the area a little bit better. But welcome and thank you for coming.
Yeah, I'd like to entertain a motion to suspend the rules, about order.
Second on that?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Joe, you have the floor.
All right, so I have a resolution for the board to entertain. This is supervisors recognize contributions of Dan Motel and establish the Dan Motel room at Papa Bear. Whereas Seneca County Courthouse Complex at Ovid, also known as the Three Bears, is a historic complex located in Ovid, Seneca County, New York, constructed between 1845 and 1860. The buildings were listed on the National Register of Historic Places in 1976. And whereas there was a period of time in the building's history that the condition of the Three Bears began to deteriorate, and the Three Bears ultimately were tagged by the Preservation League of New York State as one of its 7 to save. And as whereas in the early 2000s, Dan Motil moved to Seneca County and took on the challenge to protect and restore the Three Bears. Dan felt that the history of the buildings and its architecture were too important to Seneca County and the people of the village of Ovid, and used his qualities of determination, leadership, love of history, and artistic talent that was expressed through his paintings to save the Three Bears. Dan loved to research the villages along the Erie Canal and each painting tells a story of its development and its people. He also loved the complex architecture of many of the buildings on our campuses. Syracuse University is one of his favorites, along with the University of Rochester, Alfred University, SUNY Brockport, and SUNY Binghamton. After the research, you can understand his love for Three Bears. And whereas through Dan's dedication and leadership, the Friends of the Three Bears were formed, and through hard work, dedication, grants, memberships, and generous donations, the Friends were able to provide over $1 million to support the restoration of the Three Bears. And whereas Dan Motil's contributions to the Three Bears have been significant and deserving of recognition, and whereas this resolution was brought from the board by a 2/3 majority vote of the board under Rule 29 of the Board of Supervisors Rules of Order, now therefore be resolved that in recognition of his lasting contributions to the historic Three Bears, Seneca County Board of Supervisors hereby establishes the Dan Motil Room at Papa Bear.
Do you have a second for that?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
I'd like to present this to Phyllis.
That was very nice. Next up, presentation. We get the Ford Memorial Library, Director Jan O'Connor.
Hi, as you mentioned, I'm Shannon O'Connor. I'm the director of the Ford Memorial Library, which is located right at the base of the hill here.
You want to go briefly up this?
No, I'm okay. Actually, someone else is going to speak on that. We have the interleaving director for that one. I'm actually here today more to talk about the partnership between the library and the Three Bears. The Ford Memorial Library originally started as the Ovid Free Library in Mama Bear. So we've had a long history of connectedness. And I have to tell you, over the past 7 months, when my library office desk moved from an interior room to a southern window of the library, I've been able to watch the progress of the Three Bears for the past 7 months. And the work that Phyllis Motil has been doing the past 7 months has astounded me. I look up every day, there's new coats of paint, there's new carpeting. It's been fantastic to watch. The Ford Library, as most of you I hope are aware, just received a 2-year grant from the Institute of Museum and Library Services to do a 2-year oral history project on the history of the craft beverage industry in southern Seneca County. My library team, archivist Monica Kelly, and IT specialist Lou Cotty are collecting oral histories over the next 2 years. These oral histories will be made available through the library archives, as well as through New York State Heritage, which is an online digital collection on the history of New York State. This project, we're also partnering with Phyllis and the Three Bears. As a part of this project, Monica is going to be creating a traveling exhibit to detail the history of the wine industry in southern Seneca County. And each of these traveling exhibits are going to debut at the Mama Bear Tourism Center. So it's very fitting that this will now be more of a cultural hill down here in Ovid. And so I just wanted to say thank you to the Board of Supervisors for supporting all the work that's being done on the Three Bears project. Because it not only benefits, saving these buildings, but it definitely benefits our area in general. I mean, the tourists that come through and over the years at the library who have asked for information on these buildings, information on the history of Ovid, and now we're going to have some place to direct them. Please go up there, like they're the experts up there, they can talk about it. And this is just going to be very helpful even in the economic area of the area of Ovid. So, thank you very much, and Phyllis, you should be really proud of this. This is great.
Next up is a 2021 funding request for Seneca County's 5 libraries and Clean Lake Library System. Video presentation by Cheryl 15. to the floor. I'm the big one. Be ready for us to. Okay. Okay. Approval of the minutes of September 8th, August 25th, and September 22nd, special board meeting. Motion to approve the minutes.
So moved. Second.
Okay, a second, any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Approved. Okay, next up is Social Standing Committee, Supervisor Brady, Public Health Services Committee.
Which meeting are you in?
Public Health Services Committee.
Okay. Public Health met on September 22nd. Resolution supporting two bills introduced by Senator Orr and co-sponsored by Senator Hellman that would improve the care at nursing homes by conducting surprise inspections and also prevent owner of nursing homes who are in violation of state regulation to purchase a new nursing home. We also referred resolution to the board to accept grant funds for child passenger safety program for car seats and to accept grant funds from the tobacco enhancement grant. So I ask for
Good, very good. Next up, I guess, Mental Health Services Committee.
I guess I'm reading that one too.
Yeah.
The only item from Mental Health Services Committee for tonight is a resolution to accept funding from the South Seneca School District for $26,475 to support school-based substance abuse prevention services in schools. That's all I have, sir.
Very good. Thank you, Supervisor Brady. Next up, Planning Development, Agriculture, and Tourism Committee, Supervisor Barnhart.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Planning Development, Agriculture, and Tourism Committee met on September 22nd and has referred two resolutions for tonight's meeting. The first is reaffirming the support for New York State named Sampson's Veteran Memorial Cemetery as its first state veteran cemetery. The second renews a memorandum of agreement with the Finger Lakes Regional Land Bank Corporation for 2021 and 2022. That is all.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Supervisor Barnhart. Next up, Human Services Committee, Supervisor Boyce.
Thank you, Chairman. Human Services Committee met September 22nd. We have one resolution on the agenda for later. Seneca County Board of Supervisors proclaiming October 2020 Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Seneca County. And that will be it.
Thank you, very good, Supervisor Boyce. Next up, Personnel Committee, Supervisor Ferrara.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Personnel Committee met on September 22nd. One resolution on the agenda tonight is to create a part-time court position for the facility superintendent. And the other resolutions are waiving the hiring freeze policy that the county has in order to fill the part-time court position and position for automotive mechanic and two positions for motor equipment heavy operator position. That's all we have tonight, sir.
Very good. Thank you, Supervisor Ferrara. Next up, Water and Sewer Committee, Supervisor Hayes.
We met on September 22nd, committee met with Department of Duties and engineers to update on revised PER for Sewer 1 and Sewer 2 and decentralized alternative. We also updated this on the I&I studies. There is a resolution on tonight's agenda to approve the decentralized alternative. There is a second item that's going to be pulled back to committee on the agenda for increasing rates, but we'll be pulling that back into the committee, so it will not be reintroduced at a later date.
Okay, thank you, Supervisor Hayes. Public Safety Committee, Supervisor Burnell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The only item on tonight's agenda is for public safety, is to renew our contract with Frontier Communications in the amount of $46,811.88 for the maintenance and repair of the Seneca County E91 telephone system.
Good.
That's all we have tonight, sir.
Thank you, Supervisor Burnell. Next up, Government Operations Committee, Supervisor Gallup.
Yes, sir, I think we will add under your old or new business tonight, the vote to send a letter on to the governor's office during the sale of those items. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Supervisor. Environmental Affairs Committee, Supervisor Cornwell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We met on September 22nd, and there's a resolution on the agenda tonight to send a letter to DEC about the Greenwich plant discharging overheated water into the
Okay. Thank you very much. We have it final. In the first committee, Supervisor Cromwell, Vice Chair.
We met September 22nd. We went into second session, had a chat, and there was no action taken.
Very good. Thank you. Public Works Committee, Supervisor Chow.
Outside of the one resolution that'll follow on tonight's agenda, I'll defer to the county attorney. We're close on the IMA. Did everybody sign it, or?
I know that it's out to Mr. Reipel on behalf of the town of Tyre, has it with all the appendixes. I know that Mr. Morel on behalf of the town of Seneca Falls has the same. He and I have spoken about that, and I know that Mr. Graff for the town of Junius has it. My understanding they would be wrapping those up either this month or the 1st of November, unless there's something else.
We're not really close. Is that what we before our board?
This year?
Thursday night. Nice. Good.
What was that, Mike?
I'm hoping, I have a budget workshop on October 20th, and we got the agreement, the board members got the agreement late on our last meeting. They've had it in their hands now for, it'll be 3 weeks for October 20th. One can only hope that I can have a vote on October 20th. I'm not guaranteeing anything.
It all sounds good to me. Sounds like we're there, you know?
For what I'll do, since they are there, I'll go ahead and package it up. I hate to tell you that, I would tell you that if you don't want to read the entire Seneca Falls sewer ordinance, or you've already had a chance to read the entire Seneca County sewer ordinance, once you take those pages out of the appendix, it's about 40 pages of diagrams and charts. The law itself, or excuse me, the agreement itself is about 16 pages, double-spaced. And actually it's actually fairly well organized after we got it. So hopefully I'll get that out to the regular board members over the next week or so, so that you'll have time to review the committees by the end of the month.
Good. Very good, Supervisor. Thank you. Good progress, hopefully.
Yep.
Next up is Finance Assessment Insurance Committee, Supervisor Reynolds.
Thank you, Chairman Tyson. Did you know we haven't adjusted income eligibility for senior citizens and persons with disabilities since 2007? We have a resolution on the agenda tonight to increase the eligibility rate from $15,000 to $22,199 to the maximum of $31,900 with a sliding scale. If this resolution is approved, then we will move forward with a public hearing and hope to get a new eligibility rate effective by March 2021. That's it.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Supervisor Reynolds. Reports of special committee. You guys on the special committee?
Yeah, I gave that and had a lengthy, real lengthy, hour and 10, 20-minute discussion about what to do with solar pilot agreements. So the main gripe with the whole thing is they don't create a lot of jobs. Typically, pilot agreements are negotiated by the IDA. So there's going to have to be either some new resolutions, some new rules written about negotiating these pilot agreements on solar projects that the IDA is going to handle it, because right now there's a little bit of contention on the board that we haven't written in our laws that we're going to create jobs as the IDA if we're going to issue pilot agreements. So we're going through the first run of it now with a 5 megawatt project in Romulus, and they're trying to work out the details of our own rules about creating jobs versus approving pilot agreements. So there's a little bit of a hurdle there, or we're going to have to make some special rules when dealing with solar projects if they're going to be negotiating pilot agreements.
Should they negotiate pilots for the ones in Seneca Falls?
Yes.
Not sure.
There's a pilot program, the county and Seneca Falls has a pilot program for, Seneca Falls School District, the town of Seneca Falls, and Seneca County have a pilot agreement with a solar company.
And that's through the IDA itself, not just through.
No, I don't know that.
I'm not paid.
No.
It might not, I'm sorry, it's not, I'm sorry, you're right, it's not through the IDA. You're right, it's correct, yes. It was the three separate entities, correct.
So that's the issue.
And that was, this issue referenced, not only was it not IDA, that was also done through, their original application had been made prior to our, the county, stepping away from that program. Those were basic, that's how they got in on that, that's the plan, the two projects up in Seneca Falls. So those would not be
Correct.
available in the future at this point.
Correct.
Was it a small project in Obvious, or did you mean the one that?
Yeah, it's not, is it bad? It's 38, or 29.7. Bad. Can I take it down? Yeah, okay. Understood. But anyway, that conversation went on for quite a while. So the IDA basically at the end of it didn't pass any pilot agreement, agreed to go out to a public hearing, and if they want to fix something, do something, they're going to do it later, but right now, I think the general consensus was let it go to a public hearing and let's see what happens, because they don't want to hold anything up, but I get the sense that there's going to be an issue with the job creation and the pilot agreement approval on that board. I think it's a pretty split thing right now, and that's why I went on for another 20 minutes. So, other than that, that was the most important part of it, and then that's all I got.
Okay, very good. Any other special committee?
We have the COVID-19 crisis committee, Mr. Murray.
Okay.
If you don't mind if I come up here, I see everyone. Ask questions.
You don't have a presentation, do you?
No presentation. Other than I want to give a visual. So, first of all, I'd like to say the committee is working very well together. If you're not currently aware or forgot who's on the committee, it's county attorney, Mr. Ferrara, Supervisor Ferrara, Supervisor Lorenzetti, Supervisor Enzo, Supervisor Horst, Vicki Swinehart, and Scott King from who else? And the county manager. So, on our first
And Scott King.
and Scott King. Yeah. On our first committee meeting, we had 139 complaints. Today we met, we had so my report is that the committee is working very well together. And we've vetted on a lot of these complaints, and we've had several that we found to be bogus, some that have required just a letter of, or a communication to educate and cooperate. And before you all approve this three-step process that we have in place now to bring people into compliance, the overriding theme is to get people to cooperate and to be educated about the importance of being safe. Again, the three basic principles of sanitation, social distancing, and masking. Now, that being said, we've traveled through, I guess, maybe 8 or 9 meetings since we've been formed, and we have letters of warning that have gone out to Fort Town Community Center, Kevin Sweat, South Seneca Wrestling, Linda Wright, Prom Party, Aldi's, and Dollar General, amongst other places that have, these are just a few just in the recently past 2 weeks. Most of these letters of complaint are handled through a phone call or a correspondence with that entity. And corrections are made, and there doesn't seem to be any more overlying problems. We have some that letters of warning have gone out to. So this is the first step going into the second step to bring into compliance. I would like to make these a report of record. Glenwood Foods, Knowles Tire Service, Stony Ridge, Summer's Market, Seneca Farm and Home Supply, and Seneca Iron and Metal. You can see there's an overriding theme with this group. We've reached out to them. We've tried to have correspondence with them. We are working with them, but there seems to be a level of uncooperative nature. I'm not saying they can't be brought into line. I'm saying it's a work in progress. The next step is going to be fines to these businesses. We don't want to go there. We hope that they all come into compliance. But I do think the committee is working well together. We are taking The original document of 130 now is down to 80. And I will say this, overall, all businesses in the county are cooperating. As we can see by the level of tourism that has come back, the level of tourism businesses, the level of sales tax that is coming into the county because of the people that are coming here. So I do think that the committee, the forming of the committee by the chairman has been a very positive step. I do think the committee is a little concerned as we move into indoors that we're going to have a little more issue with compliance. And I do think we have to have a reasonable approach towards working with businesses to accomplish some level of cooperation so that they can stay open. So I will take any questions at this time, and just for the record, I received this position only because I was absent at a meeting. I didn't want it. So, is there any questions for the committee? Seeing none, thank you.
You've been doing a great job.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I might just add something, I nominated Mr. Murray, since he wasn't there, but I think it's important to know that the state of New York establishes the COVID-19 executive orders and requirements. We don't have the authority to make up our own rules as we go along. So I just hope everybody still understands that, and we're working to try to, facilitate those executive orders. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Chairman's remark. I have one remark that's been bugging me the last couple of weeks. People have been approaching me on the way here. And I've seen, been through Lake One, had a tour, an article in there. And I've had 2 or 3 times people go out there on those car tours to the depot now. They don't see any white deer. You never see any white deer along 96A anymore, along the fence. My question is, where have the white deer gone? Are they all hiding someplace? Maybe we need to have helicopters over and do a census for them. So, Paul?
Being a retired tour guide from Seneca White Deer, the food plots are in the interiors. Hundreds of acres of corn and apple trees and everything that aren't along the fence. So the deer don't have to eat the grass along the fence. They have plenty of food away from the fence. And I believe that has a lot to do with it. Why I don't see them along the fence is because they got corn and apples and hay and stuff like that inside
It seems like you see them inside when you're on the car tour.
As of December last year, at the last tour, we saw an increase of deer, 25 months, Seneca white deer were over.
You saw what?
An increase of white deer every year,
Maybe I think we're getting out
there. The food plots are in the center.
I am the white deer.
Okay. Next up, county manager remarks.
Just before 2 o'clock this afternoon, I presented the tentative 2021 budget to Margaret. I emailed it out to the board, and I all had a chance to see it. The tentative budget proposes a very modest increase in the property tax levy under the tax cap, under the state rules. Reflects a reduction in sales tax and gaming revenue, given the uncertainty of the future as we come out of the COVID pandemic. It respects the requests of all county departments and our affiliate agencies that we support and work with. Anticipate it to be determined 1 or more workshops along with the required public hearing. looks a little bit at using some fund balances that are above and beyond what any fiscal standard would require. And so I think, all things considered, we're very fortunate to be where we are. I'd like to particularly thank Haley and all the department heads for their work and looking out for the needs of the county departments, but also being fiscally responsible. So that's been filed, and we'll have up through December 15th for the board to hold the public hearing and consider and to adopt the budget. And so that's really the main thing that I wanted to report tonight. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I want to thank you, Mr. getting the budget done clearly. I don't think we've ever had a budget in the last 30, 40 years this year was presented to the board. So, and the tough times and all that, and still, thank you. Now it's up to Mike, finance committee, to take a look at it.
Get it done? Yeah, no problem.
Here's going on the next step. So you can do that. Okay, next up, county attorney remarks.
I've had enough opportunity to speak in the last couple of meetings, and I've got nothing yet.
Good.
I'll be glad if you got a question.
Okay, any questions? Communications, Margaret?
Communications number 98 through 116 are received and filed.
Okay, very good. Next up, resolutions and motions. First one is financial assessment and insurance number 15, Supervisor Reynolds.
Increase the sliding scale income eligibility for senior citizens and persons with disabilities and limited exemptions.
Any discussion?
Second.
I heard the second one of it. Did you do that, Dave?
I did.
Yeah, I reported supervisor now.
Good, any discussion? Good. Yes, Mr. Fry.
I just think it's important that if this passes, which I'm assuming it's going to, that we encourage all of our towns to adopt the same system to make it, obviously consistent from town to town to county. So I just want to make sure hopefully we can do that between now and March at the different town halls.
Just to add that last week, Lisa Keschel and myself had a meeting. We didn't include any of really the town supervisors, as you guys know, there, but any villages, the mayors, and the school districts. We did a person meeting and a conference call to try to stress the importance of this as well, because I think it's really going to help out our senior population, especially during this time of the whole COVID stuff going on. So I would like everybody to really, like Supervisor Farr said, take an honest look at this. And Lisa's going to prepare some draft resolutions, right, so that you provide that to your towns, and then you can just go through the motions and pass it. And it'll also keep everything uniform with this exemption throughout the whole town as well.
So when does this take effect, next year?
March 1st to take effect. If you can all get it throughout your board meetings and follow the process that you're supposed to, you can get it passed by March 1st. It'll go into effect for next taxable season.
Okay, so you let the assessors know we can have an assessment.
What's that?
You let all the assessors know about this.
Yeah, they're all aware.
So they should just passing that on to the towns.
Yep.
We have,
Well, you guys as the towns, the only people that we reached out to at our meeting were the village mayors of the villages, the village administrators and the school districts and superintendents. So everybody's aware of it. We were just going to let it go through this process and then present them with the draft resolution so that they could hopefully adopt as well.
okay, well, thank you very much. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 15, mental health services, Supervisor Enzo.
Board of Supervisors authorize acceptance of contract funds from South Seneca School District to support school-based substance abuse prevention services for school year
Or,
Supervisor Hayes. Okay, any discussion? So all those in favor? Say aye. Opposed? Carried. Next up is public works, Supervisor Trout, resolution number 17.
Supervisors support additional work at Sampson's Veterans Memorial Cemetery. Support.
Work by Supervisor Hayes. Okay, any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Carried. Very good. Thank you. Environmental affairs, number 18, Supervisor Cromwell.
Thank you, Chairman. We authorized a letter of complaint to DEC regarding the Brentwood plant. Support. Good, I could read it.
You have a second? Okay. Any discussion? What, you gonna read it?
Sure.
Okay, you want?
This is Timothy Walsh, acting regional director, DEC. The news of the issuance of operating permits for the Greenwich Station Power Plant in Dresden, New York is extremely concerning and disappointing to the residents of Seneca County. Seneca Lake represents not only a primary source of municipal drinking water for Seneca County and other communities surrounding the lake, but is an important resource for all aspects of the ever more important tourism economy. The decision to allow spent cooling water to be discharged into Kika outlet almost directly into Seneca Lake can only serve to increase the growth of harmful algae blooms, cyanobacteria in Seneca Lake. This has a direct detrimental impact on the health and safety of thousands of residents in our community. Further, the lack of support for DEC designated trout fisheries by not requiring appropriate fish screenings to the cooling water intakes as well as a high temperature discharge is totally inconsistent with the agency's reports. Greenwich's operator's stated intent is to scaling up power production from the on-demand needs of the public utility customers' limit of 6% capacity to 100%, with that increase going solely to the behind-the-meter use for Bitcoin mining without any public benefit. The decision to issue permits for the operation of this power plant, which no longer serves as a primary electrical power supply to the public power grid, is both illogical and inconsistent with the efforts to preserve and protect the natural resources of the Finger Lakes. Seneca County Board of Supervisors believes that to protect the people and irreplaceable resources of Seneca Lake for the community, the issuance of the operating permits must be reconsidered and substantially altered, if not denied outright. The letter from Seneca for lots.
We got a motion and a second on that now, right? So, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Supervisor Conrad. Next up, public safety, Supervisor Brunel, resolution number 19.
Authorize contract for 1 year and maintenance extension within Frontier Communications for the 911 telephone system.
support.
Second for the year, okay. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you, Supervisor Brunel. Next up, Supervisor Hayes, water and sewer treatment maintenance operation resolution number 20.
Board of Supervisors approves amended professional engineering report, DER, for Seneca County Sewer Districts 1 and 2 decentralized alternatives.
Second, Supervisor Longley. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
Supervisor Trout?
Yep.
Okay, so that we noted, how's that going?
I love the Sunday weather, you know that. You know me. How about for years?
The opinion of the chair is carried out.
The opinion of the chair that motion passes. We got someone in the gavel.
Okay, motion carried, thank you. Okay, next up, Supervisor, resolution 21. This one you're gonna not do or what?
Resolution 21, we're pulling that back for committee
We're not
for
doing
the review.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
You should follow the board, the motion or the resolution is the board's right now. Mr. Hayes, Supervisor Hayes has made a motion to withdraw and return to the county. The second should be voted on.
I'll second it.
Return it back to the committee.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, the second on that,
Yes.
Supervisor ready? Okay, any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, personnel number 22, Supervisor Ferraro.
Board of Supervisors approves creation and filling of clerk part-time positions.
Support.
Supervisor Ferraro. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 23.
Board of Supervisors approves waivers to hiring freeze to fill a clerk part-time position.
Second on that, okay? Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. 24.
Board of Supervisors approves waiver to hiring freeze to fill auto mechanic number 2 position. Support.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. 25.
Board of Supervisors approves waiver to hiring freeze to fill 2 motor equipment operator heavy positions.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Okay, you finished, Supervisor Ferraro, thank you. Okay, next up, Human Services, Resolution number 26, Supervisor Boyce.
Thank you, Chairman. Tracy wants me to read this, so I'm going to read it again. She thinks it's very important, which it is. Seneca County Board of Supervisors proclaims October 2020 Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Seneca County. Whereas National Domestic Violence Month is recognized each year in October and is designed to raise greater awareness about the issues of domestic violence, provide education, and support the families throughout resources and strategies to prevent domestic violence, and support the goals and ideals of the domestic violence victim advocates, domestic violence victim service providers, crisis hotline staff, and first responders. And whereas the purpose of the National Violence Awareness Month is to mourn those who have died because of domestic violence, celebrate those who have survived, and connect those who work to end violence and those who need the support. And whereas Seneca County will join others across the United States in commit to recognizing the need to continue to support programs and activities aimed at domestic violence and family violence intervention and prevention, and recognize the individuals and organizations that are dedicated to preventing and ending domestic violence. And whereas locally, the Seneca County Division of Human Services, the Seneca County Mental Health Department, and the Seneca County Sheriff's Office, in conjunction with other local partners, have and will continue to provide services to victims of domestic violence under the mission of empowering individuals and promoting justice, and will mobilize the community so that all persons are free from violence and abuse in their homes. And whereas the Human Services Standing Committee reviewed and approved this resolution on September 2020, now therefore be resolved that the Board of Supervisors proclaims October 2020 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Seneca County. Support.
Second on that, good, any discussion? Good, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Supervisor Boyce. Next up is resolution number 27, for plan development agricultural improvements. Barnhart.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Board of Supervisors reaffirms support for New York State naming the Sampson Veterans Memorial Cemetery as its first state veterans cemetery.
Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up, number 28. Barnhart.
Seneca County renews memorandum of agreement with the Finger Lakes Regional Land Bank Corporation for 2021 and 2022. Support.
Second. Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you, Supervisor Barnhart. Next up, public health services. Resolution number 29, Supervisor Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Supervisors support Bill S-113, A-4939, an act to amend the public health law in relation to the Unpredictable Nursing Home Inspection Act.
Second. Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next up, number 30.
Number 30, supervisors support the New York State Senate Bill S-112 related to imposing a nursing home purchase moratorium on those who own or have owned failing facilities.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. 31.
Number 31, county manager authorized and directed to sign a contract with the Governor's Traffic Safety Committee for Child Passenger Safety Program grant.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 32.
Number 32, county manager authorized and directed to sign a contract with the New York State Department of Health for the tobacco enforcement grant.
Support.
Second, carried. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. That's it. Supervisor duties, thank you very much. Okay, up to the next page, unfinished business, number 33. Any unfinished business?
I don't know, is that where we do the, letter to the governor?
Maybe under Rule 29, right?
Is this the correct time or not? I don't know.
That'd be probably new business. We already got it. We already, three of them, so one's already, we got four in here, and the fifth one's already taken care of, so. After we do four, and we have okay. You gotta have an executive session, that's really too.
Chairman Gleason? Just an FYI, that when a supervisor makes a motion for Rule 29, they can say to introduce the following resolutions, as opposed, they don't have to do it for every single resolution. You know what I'm saying? You could just lump the whole
The
thing.
same person is doing wrong?
No, this is just to get them on the agenda. You can do it every time. I was just thinking of cut time.
This job is 34A, who's gonna be with that one under? Let me say which, who's in charge of 34A?
Public safety.
Public safety.
Right.
Okay. Okay, Supervisor Bernal, you want to do Article Rule 29 for that?
Is here.
Number.
Any
Ernie,
supervisor?
make a motion. All right, I'll make a motion. Motion to go under Rule 29. Motion second.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Good. Okay. Ernie, Supervisor Bernal, 34A.
34A.
I didn't hear what you said.
34A.
That's what I hear.
Board of Supervisors.
34. Board of Supervisors accepts FY20 State Homeland Security Program. Support.
Okay. Second on that, any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. 34B, who's in charge of that one?
That would be,
Board approves accepts mechanism.
Supervisor Fernando, that one too, doesn't he, Chairman?
yes,
Yep.
And electric service at Hillside Tower Site.
Support.
Okay, second on that, okay. Article 20, Rule 29 covers for the two resolutions. Okay. Any discussion on that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. That's it. 34C. Let's cover first.
I didn't know was it.
Supervisor authorized bid solicitation for drop-in Center 88 grant proposal.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. 34B. That must be, insurance.
Board of Supervisors, you got somebody doing that one?
Supervisor Reynolds?
Board of Supervisors approves the 2020 and 2021 amendments to the municipal cooperative agreement for the Greater Tompkins County Municipal Health Insurance Consortium.
Second.
Or,
Maybe some of the board members may not know what this is. Somebody explain it to the full board?
I can talk about that.
Yeah.
Essentially, our health insurance is through the Greater Tompkins County Municipal Health Insurance Consortium. We joined that I believe in 2019. They did provide better rates and quite frankly, the services very good. I do sit on the board to help out ensure that we have favorable outcomes within that insurance consortium. Within this, what you guys are about to either approve or deny, basically, it's the same agreement that you've already signed back in 2019, but it's listing out the new members within it because it is continuously growing. So they do have every partner and every member, the board has to sign off on the new amendments for the New York State Legislature. So it's a great consortium that we are a part of. It does go through Excel Blue Cross Blue Shield, but essentially our main insurance is through the consortium.
But we are saving money on our health benefits.
We are saving money, and in fact, I was voted on this past month that we are going to be given a month of no charging. So it's going to be basically a holiday premium for the month of December.
Is there no bottom line?
It will.
Does anybody have any questions for Chris on that? I hope you don't. Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we're done for 4E. Next up is
Okay, so do I need the Rule 20, I don't need to, we came out of committee, do I? Right? So, resolution,
the supervisor tells them for all the money.
Yeah, I see.
okay, fine, group them, great. So, short and sweet, resolution for to, direct the county attorney to send a letter to the governor's office, regarding the Hillside campus sale, $65,000, well below the, value property.
Or,
Motion to accept on that. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed? Nay.
Okay, roll call.
Supervisor Garland, Lawrence,
Yes.
Supervisor Hayes, I think, did you second it, sir?
Yes.
Supervisor Reynolds?
No.
Supervisor Brownell?
Nay.
Supervisor Barnhart?
Yes.
Supervisor Boers?
Yes.
Supervisor Ferrara?
Yes.
Supervisor Conwetter?
yeah.
Supervisor Lott?
No.
Supervisor McGreevy?
No.
Supervisor Heisen?
Yes.
Supervisor Trout?
No.
Supervisor Clear?
Yes.
Supervisor Axel?
Yes.
I'll be right back.
yeses and 230 nays.
520 ayes, 230 nays.
So motion carries.
Yes.
Very good. Okay, anything else under new business or unfinished business? We also want to talk about, we got to do a resolution going to executive session for 2 minutes.
Mr. Reynolds has that.
Mr. Reynolds, yes.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to have a motion to go into executive session, move forward to go into executive session, to discuss the ongoing litigation involving Seneca County. Open meeting law, section 105D. To be included is county manager, county attorney, personnel director, and the DHS commissioner.
I'd like to add the council for lunch.
Support. What's that?
I'd like to add the council for lunch and the king, so here by phone.
Oh, and not a second king by phone.